Seems like, Coach, these things are a little bit easier after a victory, and we're talking with head coach Scott Brumfield. 29-21 was the final score on the Hanson Stadium scoreboard Saturday as you guys knocked off Central Washington for the very first time. Get your overall thoughts on that ball game.
You know, obviously I was very proud of our guys, you know, and what you said is important too. It's fun, you know, and when we play, something we stress all week is we got to get back to having fun, you know, in games and practice. You know, if you're not enjoying doing what you're doing, you need to find something else to do, and that was fun. So obviously it was a great weekend for us, you know, to beat Central Washington, you know, picked to win the GNAC, and you know, someone that's had our number for a long time. It was obviously a great weekend, and you know, the way it happened to us, I was extremely proud of our guys to get put in a situation early on the second half. In many cases in the last 3 or 4 years, we've folded and not been able to recover from that. So there was a lot of great building blocks that we were able to accomplish in that game, and hopefully carry that through the season. But it was a great win for our program.
Was it the back-to-back interceptions that solely predicated the quarterback change from Kaleo to Griff, or were there other factors that led to that in the second half?
You know, we were going to get Griff time anyway, and we've been splitting time a little bit. You know, I thought both of them played outstanding. It wasn't, you know, unnecessary. The 2 interceptions that it did cost us, and they're both competitive, but you know, we just felt like we need another spark, and Kaleo gave us that to start the game. Did an outstanding job that first half of getting us a lead and going into halftime. And we just felt like it was time for another spark. We need another boost of energy to kind of get us over that you know, deflation of the 2 interceptions. You know, the big one was, you know, the 100-yarder that really turned the momentum of the game at that time. You know, we have a chance to go out. We took the opening kick down, which we talked about at halftime. We got to go down and score this first possession. Got down the 1-yard line, and then that happens. It really puts us in a, not only offensively, but it really sets the tone for the half. And that's what I was so proud of our guys, because to overcome that is hard for any team, and we were able to do that. And so, you know, and Griff did that, and give him credit. You know, he did a great job all week. When we announced Kaleo as the starter, he continued to work as if he was the starter. He prepared in film, he studied, and so that's hats off to him and both the quarterbacks. I thought they both played outstanding.
How much credit are you going to take as his former high school coach at Spanish Fort for that preparation?
Well, all of it. You know, I give it to someone else for the last 2 weeks. No, he's a competitor, but both of them are, and they push each other, and they have a healthy relationship, competitive relationship, and it's good for both of them, and it's good for our team as well.
You mentioned Central Washington on the defensive side with a couple of interceptions swayed the momentum early in the second half, but at the tail end of the third, and especially the fourth quarter, it was your defense that came up big.
They did. They played extremely hard, and you know, we challenged them this week to get back to having fun. You know, early on the season when our defense was playing well, they were having fun out there. They were flying around. There was a lot of emotion. They took chances. They made things happen. They didn't let the offense dictate what they were doing. They dictated what the offense was doing. And you notice that there's an attitude on the feeling that I hadn't felt since the Western Oregon game. And it all goes back to having fun and making things happen. And, you know, they played an outstanding game. You know, we obviously gave up 7 points on the interception, but then gave it back to Western Oregon on the wrong side of the field. And so to do what our defense did against a very good offense was impressive. And you know, now the challenge is to keep that mentality, to keep that level of intensity up through the remainder of the season.
We talked with your offensive coordinator last week, Judd Thompson, about the depth at wide receiver. It seems now teams are starting to key in on taking away Zach Fox, who was kind of the number one guy the first couple of weeks. But guys like Randon Willard and Mitch Fry and Andre Aaron came up very big in the game against Central. Talk about them if you would.
They did. You know, I've been extremely pleased with our receiving core, and you know, especially with the loss of Jordan early, we really put the weight of the load not only on one guy, but 4 or 5 guys that are very capable receivers. And you know, over the last couple of weeks, you know, it's fun to see the Randon Willards and Mitch Fry step up and become a part of this offense, because they're both very capable, and you know, it gives us a great advantage when we have 4 or 5 guys that are all capable of making plays and finding them and kind of sharing that load and being successful offensively.
You go 3-2 through your first 5 games of conference play. Now you start the second string of seeing these teams again and heading up to Western Oregon, a team since you beat them who have come up with a couple of big victories, including one at Humboldt State last week. The Wolves at home, a different team than what you expected from a couple of weeks ago here at home.
Yeah, they're going to be emotionally high. They're a very good football team. We knew that going into the season. We knew it before our last game. We're going to see a different team. They've improved every week. They've worked out some problems they've had offensively and defensively. We're going to have to be ready to go. Now there's always going to be the revenge factor. We picking up that win early on against them really kind of, I think, put them in a tailspin for a couple of games, and so they're going to come out ready to go. They're going to be fired up, and we got to match their intensity and maybe even more being on their home turf and expect just a knockdown, drag-out battle.
1-2 on the road. How do you take the confidence and the way the team plays as they have a couple of times here at home and translate that to the road? That's
the $1,000,000 question, and it's something we've talked about all week. Is taking that enthusiasm, taking the high intensity on the road, and we did a little bit at Azusa, but we left that on the border when we played Simon Fraser. So that's something we definitely have to be ready for, and come out and play with the high intensity and that attitude that we can succeed, that we can be successful, and so I think it's an attitude. I think it's a confidence issue, and so hopefully we can show up and carry that over Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Monmouth, Oregon, 1 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Mountain Time. Head coach Scott Brumfield, continued luck on the season.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.